Welcome into the Indianapolis Colts Jacksonville Jaguars game preview. We got Carmine Bianco from WagerTalk.com, Robbie Vino from WagerTalk.com as well. I am Drew Martin, SportsMemo.com. We got the Indianapolis Colts here, Robbie. -8-point favorites on the road, 45 being the total in Jacksonville on Sunday. What are you thinking for this AFC South matchup?
Well, I'll start with Jacksonville, Drew, because that seems to be a team that most people are down on, and maybe for good reason. Let's start with the fact that they have to learn a brand new offensive system here under Jay Gruden. This West Coast offense, as we know from his Washington days, is not the easiest to learn. So I wouldn't expect Gardner Minshew and company to absolutely have a grasp on this right from the get-go here. It's complex. A lot of quick read stuff, some play action. They've got a decent receiver core, but they're short on running backs now since Raquel Armstead is out of this game, and maybe for the near future. We don't know when we're going to see him back. So here's what you have at running back right now. You have James Robinson as your lead back, an undrafted rookie. Workhorse for FCS team Illinois State, averaged almost 22 carries per game last year. So he knows a lot about carrying the rock and carrying a team. Divine Ozigbo backing him up. And then Chris Thompson, the only one familiar with the offense, will be a third down back. You put all that, Drew, behind a shaky offensive line, and I just don't know that bodes well for Jacksonville against the Indy front seven, which, that defense basically carried this team last year. The other side of the coin, real quick, Indianapolis has maybe the best offensive line in football, and it probably helps Phillip Rivers here this year. Phillip Rivers will be able to stay upright for the most part, lean on a ground game, and they've had some additions to that receiving core here. Paris Campbell looks like a standout right now, and you have T.Y. Hilton healthy from last year. I think they'll be okay offensively here. We'll see, but again, you're laying 8 in the NFL. That's difficult.
Carmine, coming to you, man. A lot of the betting market here in the NFL really high on the Indianapolis Colts, and in kind of on the opposite end here is the Jacksonville Jaguars, the lowly Jacksonville Jaguars here, but they are 8-point home underdogs. Does that interest you enough to bet on the Jags?
It doesn't. I think it's going to be a very tough year for this Jags team, and for a lot of the points that Rob mentioned, I'm not looking at the actual spread here. I'm looking at the total myself, and I understand. You've got Rivers in there, and let's not put it on Brissett last year. He didn't have a bad year, and bringing Rivers in with a good offensive line, and then obviously you've got a couple of very good running backs now, and Marlon Mack and obviously Jonathan Taylor. So they're going to get the ball a lot in this offense. Rivers isn't going to need to do what was expected of him, with the Chargers last season. So he's not going to. I guess we're use the word miracles. He's not going to need miracles to get wins from this Indianapolis team. They scored 22? I think it was 22.6 points per game last season. The Jags were at one of the lowest at 18.8. Which was obviously one of the worst in the league. That's a team that's rebuilding for next season. This total's at 45, and it lands on one of the key numbers, which is 45. But when you're looking at totals, you never want to cross a number. So it's obviously it's always better if you're half a point off and you're betting on that key number. So. With that in mind, I'm looking at the under here. I just think 45 is too much. I think with the running game, and if the Colts get a lead here, you're not going to need much out of Rivers. And with that offensive line, they can just run that ball down the Jags' throat, and this likely stays under that number.
All right, he's Carmine Bianco at Carmine Bianco WT on Twitter. Check out his work at WagerTalk.com. Liking the under in this AFC South matchup. Robbie, coming to you in conclusion, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars catching more than a touchdown at home. I don't know. I think I'm in the minority. I like the dog in this one. How do you feel, buddy?
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with Carm at all, playing under. In fact, that's the way the money's come early on. I think if you sum it up real quick, Drew, Indianapolis has the best 2 units on the field. However, that being said, Jacksonville's front seven can be feisty. It's a young defense. It might go off on Sunday as the youngest defense in the NFL age-wise. I just think that the Indianapolis offensive line has the ability to neutralize them, where Jacksonville's offensive line can't neutralize Indiana's front seven. Or Indianapolis's front seven, excuse me. And I agree with Carm. The running backs are going to get the share of the load here. So I would probably look towards under. I'm afraid to lay more than a touchdown on the road, even though with only a limited amount of fans in the stands, it's not a true road game. But I would probably be in the group that plays under.
All right. Carmine and Robbie Vino both liking the under. And of course, Phillip Rivers and Gardner Minshew at the quarterback position might point towards the under as well, guys. But also remember, $2 Tuesday at sportsmemo.com and wagertalk.com. For Carmine and Rob, I'm Drew Martin. Thanks for tuning in, guys.